Welcome to the exciting rebirth of Superstar, featuring choose your membership rate as low as just $3 a month. At Superstar, you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week, unlimited access to special horoscopes, class passes for Synchronicity University, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space. I look forward to meeting you there. Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of December 12th, 2021. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week, without a doubt. There are very big things happening in the sky now. Fully 2 planets are going to change signs on Monday. And then we will end the week not only on a full moon that begins elusive and disappointing before ending with a sense of us having touched on supreme luck and every reason for hope in the most practical sense, but also Venus standing still in the sky, stationary. Now, when it is that Venus is stationary, she appears to be standing still. She is as close to the earth as she is going to be. And this represents a magnification of her power. She will technically go retrograde at the very beginning of next week. If you're in the Americas, we're looking at the very early hours of Sunday next week. But this energy is so powerful that we will absolutely feel it this week. And so we can see here, whenever planets change signs, we feel a shift of energy. Very quickly, we may find ourselves needing to pay attention to a different area of life, accessing particular energies in different ways, understanding their value with new understandings, new conceptualizations. So for example, Mercury on Monday, Mercury will change signs. Mercury will leave the sign of Sagittarius and move into the sign of Capricorn. Now, Mercury is mind. It's what we're thinking about, what we're talking about as a collective, but also personally as well, what we're curious about. And so leaving the sign of Sagittarius energy is bombastic, right? It is an energy of joy and freedom and fun and optimism. It is a creative energy. And as such, it is changeable and it has a certain lightness to it. It wants to be light because that is part of the energy of freedom itself, the freedom to explore, the freedom to roam. But as Mercury moves into the sign of Capricorn, now Capricorn is an earth sign. It becomes much more practical, much more grounded in energy. It is a cardinal earth sign, which means that it begins a season. And so it starts, and we start thinking more along the lines of what can we initiate? What can we begin in a more practical way? Maybe we're curious about things, we want to learn about things, which is part of Mercury, but what is the practical application? Can this be part of either our success as we define it, very Capricornian, or a part of our journey towards greater self-respect, which is also a part of Capricornian energy as well? The practical application, how is it that we can take what we learn and live it and translate it into something better or something more as we determine it? Well, you can see here, right there, there's a very different focus of these different signs. And if Mercury is what we're focusing on, very quickly, we as a collective and individually as well, start thinking along different lines, start contemplating different things. But just as Mercury leaves the sign of Sagittarius, Mars enters. Now, wherever Mars goes, we get a rush of adrenaline. Mars changing signs is pretty undeniable. Now, consider the fact that Mars is leaving the sign of Scorpio. This is its sign of traditional rulership. So Mars is the ancient ruling planet of Scorpio. And while at home in its home sign, was able to bring forward a part of him that much more easily. And it is Mars in the sign of Scorpio that is able to be that much more focused, right to the core, but also that much more strategic as well. Whereas Mars represents our impetus, our survival instinct, and yes, what it is that gives us juice, that gives us adrenaline, that motivates us, that helps us to summon a fighting spirit, that helps us to know ourselves and then act from that place. Well, it is Mars that encourages that self-awareness, but a lot of emphasis is often placed on the action-oriented principle of Mars. Well, for Mars to go from fixed water, so fixed, that's in the middle of a season. It is holding the element of water. Water represents emotion. So you can see here channeling the emotions in a steady way so that our actions are strategic and guided towards the outcomes that we desire. It's a desire to transform from the inside out. And now having that Mars move into mutable fire. Mutable ends a season. Fire is, of course, creative. It's about the spark. It's about the inspiration. And so you see here that very quickly, those things that light us up, that give us juice, that help us to feel that sense of an adrenaline rush itself, well, it changes. No longer is it about transformation from the inside out. We've done the inner work. Now it's time to get out there. It's time to explore. It's time to consider what can now change, what can end, how we could grow, what could be a joy to do. What is there more to know? How could we now take that very depth of perception that Mars found in Scorpio and use it to point the arrow of Mars to explore the world? So that is part of the promise now as the energies start to shift. This is the final planet to leave the sign of Scorpio. If you remember, in the weeks before, I was talking about this conglomerate of planets that we had in Scorpio. The energy got really intense. Well, now things are changing up. The sun is already in Sagittarius. Now here comes Mars. And wherever Mars goes, because he adds a principle of urgency, we tend to feel that energy that much more. And so, yes, Mercury may be moving into the sign of Capricorn, and that's practical and that's great. But simply because of the immediacy and the urgency of the adrenaline rush of Mars itself, chances are we're going to feel Mars changing signs a lot more quicker. And so, in at least one area of life, we are going to start to summon a more adventurous and optimistic spirit. We're going to start to think about what more there is to do. How much more there is to do in this lifetime. Contemplate that for just a moment. I think very often we may reflect on where we've been, and that makes sense. That has a lot of value. Mars and Scorpio can do that. All the things that have shaped whom it is we are, well, that's based on our experiences, all of our experiences, and how we chose to interpret them. And so we've done the work, we've looked at ourselves, we've transformed from the inside out, we've found this core of authentic power. And now we're ready to take all that and know that we are okay. Know that we know ourselves. Enough to now relax, enough to accept ourselves. And it's a powerful thing to accept yourself. You know, when you accept yourself, you're able to live in the moment so much more. When you accept yourself, you're able to embrace life on its own terms so much more. When you accept yourself and understand that you are your own unique person, your own unique being as part of a world full of unique beings. And in this world full of unique beings, we are all going to have some core, essential experiences as part of being human. We are all going to know love. We are all going to know loss. We are all going to know hope. We are all in one way or another know what it feels like for someone else to give to us unselfishly. And we too we'll have at least one moment in our life when we will gladly give to another, sacrifice for another, for the act itself. These are core elements of the human experience, and so many more. How curiosity awakens us, the passion for learning, how that awakens us. These are core parts of the human experience. Elation, joy, disappointment. It is part of the world that we've created. It's part of our understanding of the Earth School, as Gary Zukav calls it, in the seat of the soul. And so now Mars changes signs. We have found this depth of understanding and acceptance in Scorpio. Now we know ourselves. We can trust ourselves. We can be ourselves. Now we're ready to take that out into the world, to explore, or to have fun. Sag energy is magnanimous, and it is one of joy. It is one of enjoying your life, embracing life fully. You know, I have said from time to time on this channel that ever since I was a little girl, I remember saying that I wanted to live till I was 150 years old. Like, I have always said that. That's one thing I remember very clearly as a little girl, and saying that over the years from time to time. I want to live, and I'm going to live till I'm 150 years old. So why is that? Well, my thought always was, and the thought behind it was, like, look, I know my soul is eternal. I happen to believe that if you're here and we here are older souls than ever before. And so chances are your soul has known every country, every ethnicity, every language, every religion. On a soul level, you know that. But wouldn't it be awesome to know it all in one lifetime? That's what I like to think. Like, I want to experience as much as I can in this lifetime and remember it all. Like, yes, I can know on a spiritual level, but it's pretty awesome to know more practically as well. So it is Mars in Sagittarius that says, get out there, explore, live it all, and live it all fully in this lifetime. And enjoy the journey, no matter how you might judge it on a superficial level. Enjoy it, every piece of it along the way. As we navigate to the end of the week, that is when the sky kicks up again, and we are going to have a full moon to end the week. Now, this is a full moon taking place in the sign of Gemini, very famously the sign of twins. Now, very famously, the twins were identical twins, but they actually had different dads, mythologically speaking. One twin was mortal, the other was immortal. In a battle, the mortal twin died, and the immortal twin was so very sad, so very upset. He went to his dad, Zeus, also known as Jupiter, and said, this isn't right. Can you take care of this? Can you help me out? And so his dad, Jupiter, turned them into constellations, into stars. And one of the ways in which these stars have been understood is that they are seen for half of the year. And when they are both seen together, this constellation is seen in its fullness. It is of special luck to travelers. But if it is that you only see one and not the other, that was not considered the best of omens. Having said that, it's interesting how with this full moon in the sign of Gemini, now remember with Gemini, and I think with Earth energy as a general principle, but especially with Gemini, there's a very strong duality that plays out, right? It makes sense. Gemini, twins, duality. So there's a strong duality, and what can often happen when we have a full moon in Gemini is that it feels like there are two specific matters coming to light, coming to fruition. Full moons bring truth, but it's a different type of truth. It's an emotional truth. It's the truth of what we really feel. And sometimes what we feel isn't so simple, isn't so clear-cut. It isn't singular. Sometimes we can see things from various perspectives, as is the case now. And we may want different things, sometimes for the same reason, but sometimes for very different reasons as well. And that tends to be the case when we have a full moon in the sign of Gemini. Yes, an emotional truth does come to light for all of us as part of our own individual journeys. But we can see the other side, we can see another perspective, and we can have a sense of healthy detachment. Another factor making that especially the case now is the fact that we have Neptune and Jupiter speaking with this in aspect to this full moon. It is Neptune that is speaking in a conversation of tension. This is a type of conversation that astrologers call a square. And when we have Neptune squaring a full moon, all is not clear. Sometimes there might even be some sense of disappointment or maybe our own fears being stirred. But when we have a supremely harmonious connection to Jupiter, as we do now, a type of conversation that astrologers call a trine, well, this is easy energy and easy blessings. Keep in mind that Jupiter is only going to be in the sign of Aquarius for about 2 more weeks. So before the month is out, Jupiter will move on out of the sign of Aquarius, not to re-enter again for over a decade. And so this really is one of the final important alignments that Jupiter is going to make. Supremely harmonious alignment to this full moon. And then at the beginning of next week, a harmonious alignment to the sun. And then Jupiter fully stepping into what is called anaretic degree, the very end degrees of the sign of Aquarius. Then we'll move on into re-enter the sign of Pisces. So we are right around the corner from that. But for right now, yes, Jupiter speaking in supreme harmony with this full moon, that is the hope. That is the real sense that at least one of our options is really good, is really inspired. At least one of our understandings of the truth brings us genuine happiness and an awareness of possibility and opportunity. While full moons tend to bring things to fruition, they represent closure as well, but they also bring illumination. And where it is that our fruition needs that extra boost or needs that sense of things coming together or coming full circle in a way that is fortunate to us, well, Jupiter trine this full moon should help us in that regard. The very big news, I think a lot of people, of course, are going to be paying attention to is the fact that Venus retrograde season is underway. Venus is stationed at the full moon, meaning she is standing still in the sky at the very beginning of next week going retrograde. There is a Venus retrograde special horoscope up on my YouTube channel, and I will link to it below. I hope you absolutely love that. But I wanted to mention this now because as Venus is shifting directions, it's going to be that much important to watch what is taking place in our lives. Whatever is happening now, this week, especially as we move to the end of the week, on the one hand, that Venusian energy is so high, along with that full moon. Well, chances are a whole lot of us are going to be wanting love, are going to be wanting emotional connection with others, are going to be feeling very passionate as well. But you add to this the fact that where Venus is now, mighty close in the sky with Pluto, is where she is going to return once we navigate all the way to the first days of March. The first days of March 2022 is when Venus will return to where she is now. At the very beginning of next week, she goes retrograde, and then she's going to go all the way retrograde, and then she's going to go forward on January 29 and go forward where she was way back on the 17th of November. So you can envision here what's happening during a retrograde. It's a path. So far, Venus has been taking the first pass along a path, a sidewalk, right? Walking down the block, let's say. She's been walking on a sidewalk down the block. And now, as we get to the end of the week, she is standing still, standing on the corner. And the very beginning starts to happen early next week. At the very beginning of next week, she'll start to go backward over the same sidewalk. And when she goes direct, she will again stand still, and then she will go forward on the same sidewalk for the third and final time. So whatever happens now, we will see it differently, more profoundly, with greater clarity, but also greater intensity once we get to the first days of March. So do pay attention, jot it down in some way. It's probably a good idea as well, because these are issues that you will return to in some way, to be understood differently and more deeply than before. So, as Venus is magnified in her power, under the light of a full moon, the full moon in Gemini energy, very detached, right? As we spoke of earlier, healthy detachment, yes, where we're able to see our emotions and not get lost in them. That's what healthy detachment is. But Venus is all about the experience. She's in an earth sign. The immersion of the physicalness of our being and of our passions is part of this energy as well. Because this is taking place in the sign of Capricorn, questions of self-respect and love are very much at the forefront. And where it is perhaps that we may need to dig very deep within us to see what wounds are there that keep us from healthy self-respect and self-love. All of that very likely coming right to the surface as we get to the end of this week. But the difference is with that full moon in Gemini, we don't have to lose ourselves in those feelings. We can practice healthy detachment, to see them, to learn from them, and to choose consciously what pathway and what pathways to our spiritual lessons we are going to choose. And are we going to choose pathways to our spiritual lessons that help to affirm healthy self-respect? Well, that will be part of the invitation of this time. What I love about this week for us, it is a profound time and a profound week. It starts off a little bit uncertain and a little bit confusing as we have a quickly moving energy of the sun squaring Neptune at the very beginning of the week. But then very quickly, the energies start to shift as Mars enters Sagittarius, as Mercury enters Capricorn, and then the full moon, speaking in supreme harmony with Jupiter under the light of Venus station. We can see here our mind, our passions, our heart, and our emotions, all of it right on the surface, all of it going through a shift, all of it going through a transformation. But the thing about transformations is when we engage them consciously, they help us to become more authentic. They're a pathway to authenticity. When we engage transformation with the intention of bringing forward our best, very often we find it, even if our best will be something else at another time in the future. At least for today, we are being encouraged to cultivate healthy self-respect, thanks to Mercury and Venus in Capricorn, but also to keep joy and hope very much at the forefront, thanks to Mars and Sagittarius, and to reason it out, to see the benefits of both as part of the gifts of this Gemini full moon. Ultimately, everything that happens in the sky, all of the celestial movements, they have a wisdom, an intricate way in which they come together. And all of it is ultimately part of our journey towards what I like to call greater love and greater wisdom. But really, it's our journey towards ourselves, our essential nature, which is a nature of love, which is a core of wisdom. Sometimes we may need to have powerful experiences that awaken this understanding for us. Sometimes they're easier than other times. But at least for now, and at least with a week like this, we're more able and willing to be honest with ourselves. And honesty is the foundation towards authenticity. And to be your most authentic self, well, what a gift it is to give to yourself absolute acceptance. And what a gift it is to give to others and to the world as well. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys, and to prove it to you, here are some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs ups. All of it means so much. Thank you to all of you who are my superstars at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week for each and every sign for as low as just $3 a month with choose your membership rate. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the superstar space. I look forward to meeting you there. Venus retrograde special horoscopes. Well, thank you so much to all the positive feedback and wonderful, wonderful love that I've been getting for the Venus retrograde special horoscope up on my YouTube channel. Again, it is linked below. If you would like the expanded version of the Venus retrograde special horoscope for your sign, there are two ways to get it. So one is as one of my superstars at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. If you choose one of the tiers that give you all access to all my special horoscopes, well, they're all there in the superstar space, and I hope you love them, including the upcoming, not yet, but upcoming, but before the end of the month, upcoming year ahead 2022 horoscopes as well. But also, you can download it as a standalone at NadiyaShah.com. And so, regardless of how it is that the special horoscope finds you, I do want to thank you so much. Thank you for your trust, for your support of my work. It really does mean so much to me, and it goes a really, really long way. And your support of my interpretation of the sky, just thank you for it. So yes, Venus retrograde special horoscopes are now up at NadiyaShah.com and NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Link is in the description below. Synchronicity University has an incredible January 2022 in store for you. Really, it is such a treat. We've got brilliant speakers. We've got the one and only Stormy Grace, and we've got classes with me as well that I'm looking forward to all of it. So let's start with my classes that are going to be coming up shortly. And they start in January, and we are going to be talking about lots of goddesses. We are going to be talking about the sun and the midheaven and the ascendant, and we're going to be talking about beauty. So there's so much to look forward to. Where it comes to the goddess asteroids, well, I'll be doing 2 classes on Lilith, power, and sex. So we'll be looking at how Lilith went from being a figure that was very isolating, very independent, very celibate, very asexual, to being the symbol of sexual empowerment that she is today, and what that means for you to understand your Lilith from that perspective in your sign and in your chart. We are going to be looking at Vesta, the fire within. We're going to be looking more at Athena as well, Pallas Athena. And we are going to look at and have our first classes on the ascendant. We're going to be looking at the sun in the astrology chart. We are going to be looking at the midheaven, as I mentioned earlier, as well, more at the midheaven. And then my absolute favorite class that I'm really looking forward to, which is astrological timing for beauty routines. This class is just for my mom because she's always asking me. So I thought, wouldn't it be great to compile all the information that I already give to her whenever she asks me, is this a good time to get my hair cut? Is this a good time to color my hair? Is this a good time for buying new clothes or whatever it may be? Is this a good time to have a party? Well, we'll be focusing a lot more on beauty treatments, but we really are going to go there. We're going to talk about all different types of treatments, when to do what, and hopefully shed some light onto how it is that you can use cosmic energies to your advantage to get results that you love, that help you to celebrate your unique beauty just in time for this very powerful Venus cycle and transit that we are in. So lots of incredible classes coming up with me at synchronicityuniversity.com. Link is in the description below. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, if you are a titanium or platinum level superstar, you're already signed up, so there's nothing to do. But choose your tuition rate is on right now, as low as just $5 a class, only for another 3 weeks. So I hope that you will join us for this very low, very famous choose your tuition rate that takes place at Synchronicity University at synchronicityuniversity.com. Link is in the description below. The one and only Stormy Grace, YouTube astrology sensation. Stormy Grace, my goodness, is she not just a ball of knowledge and wisdom and love? And I couldn't be more proud to have her at my school. I absolutely loved working with her before. I love having her back. And so Stormy Grace has a PhD in business. Some people know that, some people don't. And so she really is the perfect person to be teaching astrology meets business, how to work smarter, not harder. And I interviewed her just earlier today. So you'll see that interview up in the coming days because it really was so wonderful. And she looked at my business chart in this interview as well. And so you really get to see that she knows what she's doing and all the different things that she's going to be teaching. The moon phase of your business, looking at things like creating a business plan. What are you going to be looking at? And so I'm looking forward to this class, but I really think to start a new year, and especially where we are now, you know, I've been saying since the Saturn-Pluto conjunction that represented an opportunity for a lot of us to get very honest with ourselves about our lives and how much in alignment we feel with purpose and with a legacy that we feel good about. And now we're starting to see a lot of changes take place for people where they are actively choosing and wanting to align their work and their career with purpose. And so I feel like this class is so perfectly timed and so right for this time as well. As we begin a year and more people are going to want to understand themselves and what prosperity means to you, to want to understand what success means to you. And how are you going to align with that? How are you going to create a business that aligns with that? Well, she's going to be talking about all of that and so much more as only Stormy Grace can. There is a very good reason that she is one of the most renowned astrologers in the world right now, has risen to be a phenomenon that she is. She deserves every bit of it. She's brilliant and she is loving. She deserves it all. And so, yes, join us as low as just $5 a class until the end of the month. So for another 3 weeks only, you can choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class to join us with Stormy Grace for her very special 5-week course at synchronicityuniversity.com. Link is in the description below. Synchronicity University January 2022 speaker series is coming up and is choose your tuition rate right now as low as just $5 a class for about another 3 weeks. Learn from some of the most brilliant astrologers alive today for a truly accessible rate. I am so proud of the speaker series. It has given people a chance to learn from so many incredible astrologers, and I feel so grateful for that. And so who do we have coming up in January? We're going to have the one and only Alex Trenowith. She is back, master astrology teacher, and she's going to be teaching a class on her new book called Mirror, Mirror, which is about famous people and the actors who portray them. We are going to have Sol Jonasson, European astrologer, and she is going to be talking about the changing of the nodes just in time for the change of the nodes, because the nodes are changing signs. They're moving into the Taurus-Scorpio axis. So she'll be talking all about that and what it means for the collective and individually as well. We are going to have Maria Wander teaching cartomancy and cartology, which is connecting the cards to the elements and to your chart and figuring out lucky days to do different things. So I think that's going to be a really new perspective that's going to be a lot of fun. We are also going to have my friend Margaret Gray from Astrology Ireland. And Margaret Gray is going to be teaching about healing past trauma, that it opens you to relationships and opens you to love that much more. How perfect, again, for this Venus retrograde season, as I spoke of in the Venus retrograde special horoscope, link below. And Darren Starr is going to be teaching about career and vocation in the astrology chart. Be on the lookout for his video that I did with him very recently. That video is going to be published hopefully in the week ahead, but he literally goes through planets in the 10th house. He went through all the different planets in the 10th house to get you started so that you understand how much he knows, how we're going to get started and expand on that much more. So I think that the video interview in and of itself is so valuable. That gives you a preview. And then if you want to dive in even deeper to understand career and vocation in the astrology chart, he'll be there as part of the January speaker series to help with that as well. So again, choose your tuition rate on now as low as just $5 a class for another 3 weeks to learn from some of the most brilliant astrologers alive today. Link is in the description below. And thank you. Well, thank you to all the love that my Spanish video got. I really appreciate you guys so very much for your positive comments on that. That was a lot of fun. The last time I made a Spanish video, a Spanish language video for my channel was about 6 or 7 years ago. And you can see that I really am not understanding anything. I'm just letting the people I'm interviewing talk. This time I was able to engage conversation a lot more. And that was really to make people aware of Astrología Maya, which was the Spanish edition of Mayan astrology, which is out now. It belongs to the world. You can get it as a paperback. You can get it as a download through Amazon and wherever it is that books are sold. So thank you to everybody who's been supporting the books. Thank you for your loving words about my Spanish. People have been asking, how do you learn another language? And I have to say, there are a few different ways. Look, I think I'm still a student of Spanish, but immersion goes a long way. Dating somebody who doesn't speak English goes a very long way as well. And love, like really love for the language, asking questions, loving the way a language sounds. Like these are all ways in which you cultivate new language skills, music, film, lighting up when you hear a language, like a particular language, that tells you that that may be a language that calls to your soul. That's how I felt with Spanish. I don't know when I'll create more Spanish language content, but I'm really glad that so many of you watched it, even if you didn't understand what I was saying. And to those of you who did, thank you. Thank you for the love and the support. I am going to be back in a matter of hours. I'm going to be back in my home of Mexico City. Mexico's been my home for 9 years, and it is a place near and dear to my heart. I'm deeply passionate and dedicated to that country as my adopted home, and I'm really looking forward to being back, especially because Canada is getting real cold. But, born and raised in Canada, it's always home as well. Thank you. Just thank you for all the ways in which you share love, that you support my work, that you watch. All of it means so very much to me. Thank you. And thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.